Hello and welcome to the first and hopefully not the last devlog for my game that has no name yet. I've always wanted to make a game like this, and with the extremely impressive, just purely amazing portfolio I made for myself over the days of game development, I'm sure this will go swimmingly. But first I obviously need to tell you what the game will be about. Basically I'm planning for this game to be a kind of a mix between a strategy game and a tower defense game. Of this main building you have to protect from enemy bombing, and if it gets destroyed, you lose. You'll be able to make buildings that can produce units, and then the units themselves, you will have to survive by defending your base, which you do by attacking the enemy artillery batteries that will bomb you, and the units that will protect the artillery itself. But that's not all. You will get all of your materials by cargo ships that will get hunted down by the enemy, who will always attempt to starve you of your resources. Now let's actually open Unity and get to work. Before we continue though, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want. You can always unsubscribe later, so there's no reason to not subscribe. Thanks for watching, let's get back to it. So because I'm just so smart, I didn't document the first 4-ish days of development, so I can't really show you what I did up to then with very much detail, but I did some very important stuff. First of all, I needed to draw some units, at least placeholder sprites, which I did in Sprite, and then I threw them into Photoshop and added some nice noise filter to make them look more grainy, because that's kind of the look I'm going for, and definitely not because I am bad at pixel art and I need something to cover that up. I whacked that sprite into Unity. I made a system with which I can select units with a selection area, and by made, I mean I followed a Code Monkey tutorial. Anyway, now I can make them move and give them an outline when they're selected. Later on I also made range circle object that scales with the range value of the unit that is also only visible when selected. The next day I started making the movement system. It's not complicated, you just right click anywhere and the unit rotates to that point you clicked and moves there. If you hold shift and right click, you can add more checkpoints and the unit will move to them in the order you added them. Soon after I made the infantry unit shoot, just finds the closest enemy and, well, shoots at it. Not really a hard concept to grasp. Then I added some nice particle effects and a nice sound effect for shooting. The next day I got to work on another type of unit, which was the tank. The tank movement has to be more mechanical and feel more heavy. So I made it rotate at a constant speed before it starts moving to the next checkpoint. I also made a new sound effect for it and a slightly different particle effect. After all of that, there was one thing that ruined the movement. You see, when you select multiple units and tell them to go to the same place, they would try to cram into the same point, so they would be pushing themselves until they got to the point, which would never happen because they would be pushing each other away from the point. This bug was so annoying for me because I thought it was really hard to fix, and I avoided it for a whole week while I was working on other stuff. But then I just sat down, thought about it some more, and realized that it was actually really easy. I just found the average position of the selected units, and then each unit would find the difference between their position and the average, and at the end they would add the difference to the next checkpoint position. Before I made the harbor, I first made this basic tile set for the game. It's not much, but it will work for now. The harbor is going to be the main building you have to defend. The ships will bring materials to it. Firstly, I made this new tile set for the harbor. It's nothing fancy, but I added some noise to it, so it's gonna slide for now. I planned how it would look in paint, as every professional game developer does. Then I drew some terrible sprites in the form of shipping containers and this crane, which I actually really like because I made it a sweet animation. Now the harbor looks like this. After that, I got to work on the ships that will deliver you the goods. I drew another terrible sprite, but fear not, as the noise filter is here. I slapped that sprite into Unity and made it follow checkpoints. Now when the ship gets to the harbor, it triggers a function that will give you resources. Got to work on the resource manager so the function could actually do something. I drew some icons for the 5 resources, which are manpower, machine parts, ammo, fuel, and concrete. Concrete is going to be used for making buildings, while the rest of the materials are going to be used for units such as infantry and tanks. I'm also thinking about adding steel and for ships and aluminium for planes later on. Now every time a ship triggers a function, you will get a set amount of materials. I made the build menu, and inside of it I made a button for buying the infantry camp with concrete. When you buy it, it shows up like a green preview, so you can choose the location and rotation of it. If it's obstructed by something, it will turn red. Then finally it builds an actual camp when you click and if you have enough resources. Okay, so the building system works, but the camp just kinda sits there. So the next thing I need to do is make the camp actually spawn units. It's really basic for now, but I made it open a production menu on click. It looks just like the build menu, but the button is different. There are other resources you'll have to take into account other than just concrete, and there's a short description of the unit. When you buy a unit, and if you have enough resources, it will look through an array of possible spawn locations, and it will spawn the unit on the first one that is not obstructed by anything else. That's it for the first devlog. I hope it was bearable to watch and maybe even entertaining. Be on the lookout for the next one. Please do subscribe to my channel and like the video. That would be amazing. The next thing that I'll be working on are enemies and the whole enemy system. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.